subject to the disciplinary rules. You are. So if your employee is out of line, then you are. So I understand what you're trying to do, but I'm just saying that I can't assist somebody who's in the jail while at the same time submarining a client that I'm representing that has a conflict with this person. And and again, I say that if if my office isn't representing them, then they must have assigned counsel because they have a conflict, or they have their own private lawyer. Well, why can't the private lawyer go up to FMCC? I don't understand that at all.
Well,
One more thing. I know a man who's 86 years old who told me that when he got out of the Army in World War II, he built his house with a table saw. That's all he had, was a table saw, and he still lives in it. I've represented my clients with my database that I pay $600 for as long as I've been a public defender. Where's the common sense? The sheriff's got a database, what is it, 4,000 you're paying?
about 4,000 a year.
4,000 a year. Where do you draw the line? I mean, you know, are we supposed to get on a plane and fly to Stanford because their library might have it? I don't understand. How far do you have to go?
Well, in New York State, you do.
Well, it's just, you know, I'll throw this out there. I don't know if you're aware, but there's legislation pending to eliminate the requirement that the sheriff even have to keep a library. It hasn't passed yet, but it is pending. So I'm just, you know, I'm just appealing to you because I'm on the horns of a dilemma. You pass this resolution, I can't be insubordinate, but then on the other hand, too, I'm subject to disciplinary rules. And you know, I could get more information from Mr. Caruso about the interns from Oakland High School. I don't know how much it costs. If you did it on a piecemeal basis, and you could fax them the information at Albany Law School, they wouldn't even have to leave the library. That's where they are, and they could do it at the library down there. I mean, I don't know how much you know that it would cost, but I mean, that's a solution. That's what Mark Caruso told me Schenectady County Sheriff was doing, using interns from Albany Law School.
The one thing, see, we're not necessarily doing research, and we're supplying them with information. I mean, we certainly don't have anybody on staff at the sheriff's office who is capable of actually doing any legal research. It's just going to be a matter of supplying them information. And it was a little different when we had a paper system. We got the updates periodically. However, you know, it was difficult and expensive to keep the paper library up to date. Obviously, this computerized system is better. We're not online though, and I don't know if that's the difference maybe with the system that he has. You know, for security reasons, we don't have the internet in the jail. We certainly don't, you know, give inmates access to the internet. So what we're trying to do is come up with a system that has certainly more timely information that they can utilize, you know, through the way that we're able to deliver it now. But again, we're very careful. We don't give out any kind of legal information to them. We don't help them with their cases, but we are required by the statute to make sure that all that information is available, and that's part of their right, is to make sure that they can act in their own defense, in addition to whatever counsel they are represented by. So, and that county court never had an issue before in assisting us by sending information over, and again, it was just give them the paperwork that we didn't necessarily have a copy of. It wasn't necessarily interpreting or helping them in their own defense or something else. And I certainly wouldn't be adverse if, I don't know, Mr. Marticello thinks that there's going to be a conflict between inmates. He certainly knows who he's representing, and if it's a co-defendant or someone who is testifying against him, he can certainly probably deny in that case. I don't know. It's up to their office, really.
My staff, we can't be ciphering who. I'm just telling you that if I'm not representing them, odds are pretty good that they're there with assigned counsel because we have a conflict. But I can
jump in at any time.
Having my secretary run down a database and find out if this person was an applicant, whether it's a co-defendant. Just, you know, my office staff right now, we process all the applications, and that alone takes voluminous time from the secretary. So you're asking me to.
What's your recommendation, Doug?
I don't know if it's so much a recommendation but in listening to this, I would like to make a couple of comments that might clear up or provide some additional information here. Please excuse my voice, it's an allergy problem. It's for me.
I've had it for a week.
What's that?
I've had it for a week.
Yeah. The inmate who Mike and Mike were referring to, that particular request was so voluminous. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it before, and knock on wood, we'll never see anything like it again. It's true, by corrections standard, he was entitled to the information that he was requesting, but he was requesting tons of it. And I think this should probably be looked at it in that context, that what brought this about was an extreme case. Not to say it couldn't happen again. The courts had been quite cooperative in the past. As far as though the idea of doing legal research, it's not legal research. The inmate would find, now presumably on the Lexis system that's in the jail, a reference to a specific case, Smith versus Jones, 1975, whatever, but the text of that case is not available through that system. He wants the text of the case. Could be a statute as well that's just not available through that Lexis system that he has access to. What is required, and I also do have some involvement with the Commission of Corrections, so this isn't the only place I hear about this. What is required is that that information be provided to the inmate, a copy of that case or a copy of that statute, not assistance on what to do with that information once he gets it, or how to apply it to his case, or if it's even relevant to his case. That's the second point I wanted to make. The other thing is that the access to such material is not necessarily related to the criminal case that has found the inmate in the jail. It could be related to a civil case that the inmate is pursuing against someone that has absolutely nothing to do with the reason that he's incarcerated. And I will say this, not to paint with a broad brush, but when you're in a facility and you don't have a heck of a lot to do all day long, sometimes your mind wanders and you can come up with reasons to want to sue people that you think may have done you wrong over the years. And so there is a bit of that takes place. But to that extent, and I'm not here to take sides one way or the other, to that extent, I think a lot of it is related to that type of material, not necessarily material that would put one defense attorney in conflict with another over research involving the criminal defense for which the inmate is incarcerated in the first place. The other thing, Mike Franco, the last point I'd like to make is that, and I wasn't aware of this before, I don't believe, that when the requests were still going to the courts, that it was switched from Judge Seiss's office to Judge Katina's chambers. If it's a civil matter, it really doesn't make any difference which one it goes to, as long as the case is not pending before one of them in a civil setting. If it's a criminal case, I would, and this isn't really our concern, but I would think that both of those courts would want to be cognizant of who the inmate is, because Judge Katina presides over, well, nearly all felony cases in this county, and if it's a felony case that the inmate is trying to research, I wouldn't think that Judge Katina's office should be involved in even providing that type of material to the defendant. Likewise, if it's a civil case that's venued in Montgomery County, it's possible that either Judge Katina or Judge Seiss might be the judge, and the same issue might apply. That might further muddy the waters, but I'm thinking from the perspective of the courts, there may be an issue there as well, as far as who they're assisting. just, again, not a solution, just a few points to add fuel to the fire, I guess.
I don't know if we really care, you know, who supplies us the information. I just know that we are going to be limited in the facility. And again, Judge Slice was always very good, and Judge Tinas are very good. Listen, we don't make any distinction between whether it's a civil case or a criminal case or whatever. Again, in our facility, we don't have anybody, you know, who's there acting as a representative of some form of legal aid. And when an inmate says that the information is not available, I put the request out to whoever, and then we try and obtain it for them. That's really what we're supposed to do by the standard. So, again, if the judges want to supply the information, that's fine. But I know that, you know, by the standard, we have to supply that information within a reasonable amount of time to them, or we become the ones who then would be, you know, at fault.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'd like to say a few words. Ms. also said about these people in Albany, these law students. If George wants to supply me with the funding to pay for these people to do it, I have no problem with it. I don't have the staff to know how to do it. It has to get done. If Marcelo doesn't want to do it, the board agrees with him, then I have to have some funding and I have to find some other way. Maybe perhaps he can help me locate people in Albany that can do this thing. Because I don't need to get letters from the state anymore about us not fulfilling the requirements of the law.
Well, it's not that I don't want to do it. I don't have the staff to do that kind of thing. Again, I say, if you're sending the request to me because you don't have it in your database, I can guarantee you I don't have it in mine. Because your database has got to be substantially larger than mine. So I can tell you right now, I don't have it if you don't have it. So are you saying then that my staff has to go running around the state of New York to locate something? It's not.
Can we check with another county other than Schenectady County and see, you know, what other counties are doing? You know, so we're not recreating the wheel here, you know, and revisit it next month or whatever. I mean, it's not like this is something that's gonna probably be.
I can check with some of the local counties.
And if not, I'm not quitting. And if not, what would be the cost, the burden to the jail to be standalone without having to?
I think we have some security issues.
Like,
I mean, going internet.
no, or what you think an estimate would be if you could hire law students and
I have no idea because I don't know what the cost is.
or access to the information on some other way, if there's an additional cost to that?
If I may, I did, when this first came about, I reached out to LexisNexis and Westlaw, who we used to use, and again, I called the college, and we talked to some of the other facilities, and I don't have information in front of me, but I mean, yeah, I think, I don't know if that's.
We can ask around, but
Yeah.
I'm just concerned this is going to happen again. I don't want to get jammed up again with the state.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, because even if he had a conflict with 40% of the population, then we still have to figure out how to satisfy that 40% of the population that he might have a conflict with.
If he thinks, if the public defender's office is representing maybe, what did you say, 50% of the people there? Which maybe is,
I'm guessing.
and that's probably not out of the ordinary. I don't know, I don't ask them who's representing them when they request that information. I don't know if I'm not supposed to, but we don't because we have to supply it. But maybe some of those individuals are already being represented by him, and I can't say, call your attorney. I have to be the one who supplies the information. So maybe some of them are already clients.
Well, I can tell you that me with staff, I mean, we have regular contact with these clients. If they have a legal request, they give it to us. They call. I get calls all the time from the jail, so that's not an issue. They call. They have free access to the phone, so if they have a question, they call or they send us letters. And we respond.
Bill?
Chair, maybe you should think about either reconsidering that resolution or amending it or rescinding it. Or all of the above.
Right. Well, I
Because
think
obviously it's causing problems for the public defender at this stage.
But I think we still have to find a solution
Yeah, right, yeah,
to what the problem is.
So maybe it could be
How
done
to
by
resolve
amendment.
What about, is that totally unreasonable to the commissary and charge them
Jeff?
See, and it was not, look, let me tell you, I think since we put the system in, there's probably been one request, and I sent it, Public Defender's Office, but the individuals were released. So, since we started with that, and I'm 99% sure there was one request again, and it was nothing. So, I think they're being serviced much better than they ever used to be with our system. However, should we run into an individual like the one who we had, that would be problematic, because I don't know. And again, it wasn't me. I mean, Mr. Lane was there, and the two judges, and this law librarian, and these individuals are substantially more well-versed than I am in that. And they said, this is ridiculous, the amount of information that this person wanted. On the other hand, we're still the ones who have to supply that. We have to give that to them. It's not up to me, I'm not a court who says, that's too much, I'm not giving it to you. We just have to have a method. So
It says right in the statute, the New York Code of Rules and Regulations,
I got mine too.
the New York Code of Rules and Regulations, section 9 NYCRR 7031, says right in it that the sheriff can put limits on the request. So it's, here it is. The chief administrative officer may establish reasonable limitations on the amount of legal research material prisoners may request at any one time and the number of requests for legal reference material the prisoner may make each week. So, I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't work that way.
Apparently they already lost in an appeal.
Yes.
So I'm not sure
We
that's.
argued that it was too much, and the commission agreed with us. The inmate appealed it to the Citizens Review Board. They came back and said we should have had that to that person in 2 days. Period.
should have appealed it to the Court of Appeals, and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Did you appeal? Can't, that's the last step.
I don't know, I never went past that.
You said you should do it.
You know, it's turning the system on its head. That somebody can sit in the jail for 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and 24. So,
It's a great system.
I just had a question. So you have Lexus, and it's pretty substantial database for 4,000 or 5,000 a year, and it's on the internet in the jail, right?
No.
You
We
use
have what they call
remotes?
remote hard drive, and then once every quarter, they send us a small hard drive that we plug into the computer that we have in our law library, and that has the most updated material available. They work off of that remote hard drive. It's not internet-based. We don't have internet in the jail for security.
but I, as an attorney, have used, my database costs $600. And I think I've done a fairly decent job.
I wonder if because you're online and you have access to that stuff almost instantaneously. I don't know if it's different. Again, ours, they actually send us that device. Once a quarter, we have to send the other one back. And
But it's
then,
Lexus.
And who does your legal research then? You?
our legal research?
Well, so inmate requests something, they research it themselves, or do you research it?
No, they do. And if information not available to them, again, what I used to do is just send it down. So then that's what this is about.
Well, I don't know if you want to rescind the resolution, because the resolution establishes the policy. And what we probably need to do is address section 5 of the policy, which establishes the outline for the inmate to be sent to the public defender's office for the information. If there are access available to Albany law or something such as that, I mean, it isn't going to create a great difficulty for us to throw a couple of $1,000s in a line for the sheriff to have access to that information if we can get somebody to go along with that. I mean, he exceeded his jail revenues last year more than what we budgeted. So I don't think it's going to be a huge thing to throw a couple of grand in a line, see if we can line up something with either Albany Law or if FM can do that and all they're doing is research, they're providing, if, as Doug said, is they're providing either a case or a statute, and that's all they get. They print them out some papers and hand it to the inmate. I mean, I don't see where this is insurmountable, if we can get either FM or Albany Law to do this for us. And if it costs us $10 an hour, it costs us $10 an hour. A couple $1,000 is going to last quite a while, and we can always put more in it if we need to.
I mean, we were hoping to maybe use, like, work into a partnership almost with the public defender's office and really work together on this. And I don't know what his system is, and I'm not an attorney, but I mean, if there was information sent to him by one of the inmates and he had somebody punch it up in his computer, and if he could print it out, that's what we were looking for. And I mean, if you want to hire a clerk or somebody to work in our facility and do legal research all day, I'm okay with that. On the other hand, I mean, maybe we should exhaust some of these other avenues first.
You
And
don't have to have somebody at your facility.
I'm
You
not
can
looking
fax
for
it down to an intern at Albany Law School, get your fax, and spend an hour or two and send it back to you. That's what they're doing. That's what they have the office. The law school down there has a legal intern office, and so that's what they do.
Yeah, these students would not, these law students would not be going to the facility. There'd be no reason
Right,
for that.
they have the library right there. They could probably email it to you.
No doubt.
Please say, at Lexus, and I just was wondering, did you speak to Lexus and explain their problem and see if they had any suggestions? Because they're usually fairly good. They have training for,
we talked to West at the time because we were using West for the books, and then we talked to Lexus as well, and for a fee, they'll supply additional information to us. Yeah, I mean, they were the job of selling and their work was focused pretty much on their database that they sell to everybody to use, and not necessarily doing specific research, on a specific case for one person. I know Westlaw, when we were with West and had the books, I reached out to them, and they were not as amenable to any kind of assistance.
so my suggestion is like we kind of like are repeating ourselves, we're not coming to a solution.
Well, get some information from some other counties, find out what it would cost to go to Albany Law, and maybe you can get that for us.
And I tell you, Mark Caruso told me that the sheriff was paying them $12 an hour, so.
So let's try to get a plan together, come back next month, and we'll, revisit it. If we have to, amend this resolution to adopt a line to be able to do that, like John said, I don't think we need to just eliminate this resolution, but, maybe modify it.
Thank you.
All right? All righty. Next thing on the agenda. Sheriff, you're still up.
Okay. A few years back, the Commission of Corrections was doing a review of all the holding areas. And they came from Montgomery County, they reviewed our building. And they went down to the county courthouse. In the county courthouse, we have a room where, since the building, the new section has been built back in the 80s, there's a room with a cage in there, a picnic table inside the cage for the inmates to sit at. We've been using that room all those years, and what would happen is the transporting officer, whether it's a deputy or a correction officer, would bring the inmate into that room, open the gate up, have them sit on the bench, shut the gate, and then wait till they're called to go into court. Well, the commission came in and said you can't do that no more. The commission said that that's considered a holding cell, that whole room, and you can't carry a weapon in there. So what the commission is making us do right now, until there's modifications to the cage, is when the deputy comes with the prisoner to court, the deputy, whether it's a deputy or a correction officer, they have to take their weapon off of the front door and put it in a box in front of the inmate in a public area. And there's no safety precautions or policy procedures in place like a barrel where you would take your weapon out facing the barrel. So in case of discharge, it's his hand in the barrel. Right now, they're just pulling it out in the hallway and put it in a box. So either an inmate, employee, a person in the public that's in the courthouse, or my staff is gonna get hurt. On top of that, my employee has to escort that inmate through public hallways with no weapon on. They're not allowed to have anything in that room. They can't have a table in the room. You know, and it's very dangerous. My employees have complained numerous times about this. I don't blame them. It's dangerous to them, it's dangerous to the public. I went to the court administration. I asked them, you know, what are you going to do? Can you modify this room for me? And we worked together on this. Several times I was told that they had other plans on redoing the offices over there, and they wanted to use part of that room for maybe attorneys to talk to their clients, and so it was just put off, put off, put off. Finally, I talked to the administrative judge Caruso, and I told him what the situation was. I sent him a copy of the cost factor to correct the problem. And of course, the cost factor is ridiculous. It's over $9,000 to put a new fence up with a door in it. We have to put different locks on the door, and we have to put 2 doors up. So it's over $9,000. I've asked them several times to address this issue because of the safety problems it causes. And I haven't heard one word back from the administrative court. I haven't heard back from our Supreme Court. Nobody's written me back. I wrote a letter to, I believe, John, did I send it to you? Copy of that letter?
Yeah.
I sent the letter to the board to let you know about this problem just recently. Basically saying, it's out of my hands now. Somebody's got to come up with the money. Somebody's got to do something. The court doesn't want to do anything. I've talked to Paul. I sent a copy to Paul Claiborne. Paul's people have been involved in this in the past concerning the alterations that need to be done. And nobody cares. Nobody wants to do it. Short of me putting $10,000 in my budget and trying to get the court administration to let me do the alterations, because apparently I guess they have control over that building, I'm stuck. You know, I can't tell my people to sit out in the vehicle with their person. It's not practical. I'm asking the board, is there anything that you can help me with this issue, whether it's financially or if we can get together and sit down with the court? I've written a letter, like I said, to the administrative judge. He doesn't respond back. I sent it certified mail, so I know he got it.
I think the safety of everyone dictates that, that we come up with the money. If there's no alternative.
Well, even if you have the money, you're going to be able to do something over there
That's
if
the
they
question.
don't allow you?
The court administration has put me off and off. You know, I went there the
Or
first time.
they're putting you off, not.
DPW.
Not
We
DPW.
thought DPW.
Yeah, I
No,
thought.
not DPW. DPW will do the work, but they can't do the work because the court administration apparently has control over how that building is set up inside, because they lease it or whatever from us. And if I just went over and say I want to move this wall, I have to go through the administrative judge, got to go through the Supreme Court judge, you know, to get the blessings to do it. And I've tried a couple of times, and they always say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we'll look for the funding. I never get any answers.
John?
Well, no, I'm just thinking if we come up with the funding, does that open up some doors? Rather than them looking for the funding? Because the security of your employees is worth much more than the $9,000.
If gun discharge is
Yeah, that's.
unintentionally and somebody gets hurt,
At that level, they can avoid it, but at our level, I don't think we can avoid it. If that's what will open the door.
So in other words, if we fund the bill,
right.
will that maybe allow?
Well, I don't know. I will write another letter to the administrative judge. But I had told him back quite a while ago that I would try to help find some type of funding, if not some of it, you know, maybe half of it or something. Never responded back. I did all the legwork. I did the blueprints. I did everything. I got the state to approve what we're going to do, Commission of Corrections, if that's what we did. I got the cost factors. I contacted the company myself and got the cost factors for the fence. And just the court just doesn't want to move on it. I will If you want, I will approach them again. Maybe I'll go personally over to Judge Sykes and see if we finance it, if he'll approve that, or at least he'll push it along, to Judge Crusoe. But
I would take that route. Well,
Either, I'm not on the committee.
Well, I got John next. I'll put you on the list.
Can you refresh the description of the room again? What exactly is the setup that you have now?
it's a room like this. You would come in the door, the side, and over to your right, there's a long gate with one door in it. On the other side of that gate's a picket table. So you would come in that room with the inmate, open the gate up, put the inmate on the other side of that gate, shut it, and then you would wait on this side, the inmate waits on that side till we call the court.
Because he's inside that gated section, you're calling that a holding cell.
That whole room is considered a holding cell.
They need like a vestibule,
Right.
like a staging area.
Can you,
So what their answer was, is if, and this is a perfect example of
well,
what this is set
before you
up.
go there, let me ask my question. Is it permissible if we took that gated section out and put, as I've seen in some police stations in our valley, a seat or a bench, that you have the ability to handcuff the inmate to that? Is that permissible?
Considered a holding area. You
It's
can't,
still a holding area?
can't do
Okay. That answers
it. Can't do it.
my question.
And what is, it's a room like this, you got a fence like this with a door in it. And their answer is, if I put another wall from here to that wall there with a door in it, and if I walk the inmate into that room, shut the door, lock my gun up in a gun box on the wall, then open that gate up again, go back in, and put that inmate in the second cage, then we meet the standard. Crazy. That's what they want.
Good.
I'm good.
Larry?
He answered my question. I was wondering how he came up with a $9,000 estimate. We had talked to him, but I guess he answered that a minute ago, so.
There's a company in Schenectady, in more of elite in that area there, that does this type of secure fence work.
I just wanted, I just had in my head, I want to be sure, if allowed to have enough money, so.
No, I got the quote,
Okay.
and DPW would have been doing the installation. That would have made it, cheaper than if they had to come here and install.
Thank you, that's all I want.
Butch?
The only thing I'm recommending is that maybe as sheriff has a little support from either you or John. I don't know. I'm just
What I can do is I can make an appointment with Judge Sykes and tell him that the Public Safety Committee has asked you to come.
Sure. And if you want me to go with you,
anything for
if
support.
you want me to go to the meeting, I don't know if that will help, but
That's up to you.
no, you don't need help.
John will go.
Oh, John wants to go?
Thanks.
He's the big kahuna.
It is a serious thing, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't understand that they've not addressed it over there.
But Judge Sykes doesn't make that decision, it goes beyond it, right?
Well, Judge Sykes can help because he's the security officer over there. He oversees the security in the courthouse.
But who ultimately has
He
to?
would go to Judge Caruso, who's the administrative judge for the area. He's out of Saratoga. And he would say, okay, you can do that.
I wouldn't rule out that.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't rule out the possibility of having them do it and pay for it.
The
The
state
court, yeah,
or make-
the court, yeah, OCA. Might not happen, but I wouldn't necessarily throw in the towel on that yet.
Well, I'll reach out to Judge Sykes because he's local, and see what he says. And if not, I'll put it on the phone call into Judge Caruso, tell him that I spoke to the Public Safety Committee and they'd like to see this taken care of. See what he has to say. But it's just like I keep it a brick wall. And I've done everything for them, except paid for it and got their blessings to do it.
Good, Butch? Good. Greg?
Sure. Sheriff, I just got one question. If you still put that other fence up and your officer is in there without a weapon, isn't it still unsafe for him?
Well, it's better than what he's doing now.
Oh, really?
Because right now, he has to take a gun off right at the front door
Oh,
and then walk around the whole building, in the courtroom and everything, without a weapon on.
okay. All right, I didn't catch that.
And in there, he'd just only be in that little vestibule with that inmate without a weapon on. As soon as that inmate came out of the vestibule, he'd have his weapon
Thanks.
and be able to walk around the hallways and courtroom and everything.
Thank you.
You can't have the dog here 24 all the time, that's the problem too.
100,000 volts on his ankle when he takes a step.
You're mean, though.
Whichever you want to contact,
Is that off the record?
I get a reply back.
Criminals have more rights than we have.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one other thing under discussion. Sheriff, you've got a dishwasher that is no longer of your use, and
Correct.
there's a request of the Fort Plain Nelson Elks that they would like to maybe have that donated to them.
It's totally up to the board, what you
Right.
want to do, that's county property.
Right.
You know, I have no need for the machine anymore. Got a new machine this year through the food company.
There was a request made by the Elks who they do quite a bit of fundraising for them. Actually, they're having a canine fundraiser down there. Requesting to have the dishwasher donated to them. Anyone have a issue with that?
Is it possible that you do that? Disposition of property, isn't that?
Surplus equipment.
Do it not for profit.
They're not for profit. Yeah, it's not
I
like
would
it's.
do it by resolution,
Yeah.
though, just so that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's Joe's Diner, it's a not-for-profit organization that.
We'll make sure the next one goes to the Knights of Columbus.
I don't need one.
All right, well, we can get it.
Yeah, I'd like a smoke.
Smoke here.
What I could use,
All right, so everyone on the committee good with that? We'll put together a resolution. Okay. All right, anything else under this discussion? If not, we'll move on to resolutions. First resolution is resolution amending 2013 operating budget K-9 seminar. My sponsor, I need a second. Herbie? Any discussion? This is the committee? Move it. Next resolution amending 2013 operating budget, CPOD alterations. Sheriff, I sponsor, need a second. Larry, discussion? This is the committee?
Move it.
Move it.
Just to give you the current, as of last month, we have about $215,000 revenue so far. Looking right now. We stand.
Okay. So we're moving on. Okay, next resolution. Resolution amending 2013 operating budget, fill vacancy. Sheriff, I sponsor, I need a second. Jeff? Discussion? You want to explain that?
Yep. We have a couple of vacancies, full-time people had left, and we had hired them, outside people to come into work, and one worked in the jail and came to work on the road. And apparently, we got the approval from personnel to do what we did, and then we got a call from personnel telling we couldn't do it. After we had hired the first one, and he's been working a while, and the second one has been working. And so, we went back and forth with personnel, told them the people are here now, what are you gonna do? You told us yes, but now it's no. And the answer was to put them on into other full-time positions. What it is when the two people that left originally, other people got bumped up. And they're all tentative until they take the test. So you can't hire somebody permanent in a line that the person might flunk the test and get pushed back to. So we have other lines that are empty, and if we put the money in these other lines, that means that we're not filling their line. All right, they're a little complicated. It's actually pretty simple when you stop to think about it, but we just want to move the money into these other lines put these people in those lines, this way we meet civil service law. If these people don't pass the test, they move back down to their lines and we'd have full staff still. Or not full staff, but the current staff we have.
Any discussion? Question committee? Next resolution, resolution rescinding resolution number 46 of 2014, amending 2013 operating budget to utilize 2012 New York State Homeland Security SHSP SLETPP grant funds. My sponsor, need a second. Jeff, discussion? Move it. And the last resolution, resolution amending 2013 operating budget with forfeiture monies, district attorney, I sponsor, need a second. Gary, discussion? Committee? Move it. Anything on the other? Not motion to adjourn? Harvey? Larry?
I'm just gonna get this map and take it back there. All right, I'd like to call the General Services Committee meeting to order, please. The first item is discussion item by any of the members of the committee. Do I hear any? Not hearing any. Next item on discussion is we have a presentation by Doug Green. And I think you all have your packet here of the final shared local and county highway services study. That's what Doug wants to talk about today. Doug?
I'll do my best to be brief after those discussions. Revenue would be welcome. But you, like Greg mentioned, you've been passed out the final version of this shared road study. There was a local government efficiency grant about a year and a half ago that we applied for, received funding. Consultant was hired to look at ways to look for better efficiencies and better coordination perhaps between the county Department of Highways and all the local town, village, and city highway superintendents. The report that's in front of you, I encourage you to read it. It's got a lot of inventory, factual information, but I think what I'm going to try to get to and focus on whatever I'm going to talk about is just the implementation recommendations, because that's where the most important things are. But the process involved in interviewing all 21 municipal highway superintendents. There was a steering committee put together that worked with the consultant, worked with the staff, myself, and other folks to kind of follow this procedure along. After the inventory information was gathered from all the highway superintendents, started putting together some initial mapping, and then there was a first set of alternatives. Report was put together that started putting together some possible courses of action. And probably the most significant one, which this map here represents, it's a very kind of a coarse map. But what it does show is the roads that are in pink are county roads, the blue roads are town roads, and then there's some yellow ones with state roads. Left out the village roads because that wasn't really the issue. But one of the most significant revelations or information that came out of this was the fact that 57% of the county, of the roads in the county are county roads. And that winds up being the highest percentage of county roads anywhere in the state. And there's a long history to that, I don't need to get into that. But the consultant put together a series of maps, and they're not included with your report there, but they will be online in the next few days. And there were recommendations in almost every town to take these county roads and move them over to the towns. And as that proposal moved forward through the steering committee and also to the, some meetings with the County Highway Superintendent Association, it was pretty much soundly rejected as being infeasible, that it wasn't practical or economical for these roads to go over to the towns. They would lose revenues, the CHIPS money would be reduced for the county, so it's just not a workable situation. But I wanted to make that known to you, that that was one of the major recommendations. Unfortunately, it's not really feasible right now. I have had some discussions with some supervisors that maybe suggested that over time, there might be some kind of rational, slower way to gradually move these roads back over to the towns. And briefly, these roads that were earmarked or recommended to be shifted over were ones that really weren't major roads. So there was some logic to it, but keep that in mind because again, one of the things that may be looked at again with the new county legislature, they may have a different perspective on that. We'll just have to see where that goes. But moving along, the last part of this, excuse me, the implementation section, excuse me, is, you must have what a duck has. There are 4 major implementation recommendations, and they don't include shifting roads around. One is to come up with recommending an infrastructure coordination committee. That there would be, and there's more details in the report of kind of how that might be put together. But to summarize, it would be selected representatives from around the local municipal highway superintendents would get together with the county Department of Public Works and look into the future for future projects where coordination could take place. And especially when you consider that the new legislature, the new county government next year will also include a capital improvement program. And that's going to be really important as you look ahead to a 4 or 5 year horizon for future capital projects. Coordination at that level is going to be really important so you're not duplicating or missing opportunities to work together. And that's really the overall focus of this study, was to look for how to better coordinate. And it's a good example of something that I hope will be used for other parts of the county in the future. Also, there's a recommendation to try to put together better information gathering and record keeping for the towns and villages. That's something that can be worked on over time. There are also specific projects. Canajoharie comes to mind. There was Minden and Fort Plain. We're looking to join together facilities, again, long-term projects. And then there was also a recommendation to have a better inventory and coordination of sign management. So with that being said, there's really nothing for action-wise. I hope you will consider looking into down the road, putting together some type of infrastructure committee to look at not only roads, bridges, and other things, and especially with the storm reconstruction work that seems to be out there. With some future discussions down the road will be on that. But I hope that you will consider some kind of committee down the road. The next steps are going to be to post this on the county website to make it available publicly. And then also we'll be sending reports to all the mayors so they can be more aware of what this report's about. So that's in a nutshell.
Is that map going to be put onto the?
It will be, along with a whole series of other maps that there was analysis of travel time between different, there was also a recommendation for some regionalized maintenance and highway facilities, but that really, at this point, didn't make it through the steering committee or the highway superintendents. But it's in the report, and there'll be all kinds of mappings to be looked at and to study and to consider.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Doug. I know we've put a lot of work into it. We appreciate it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the resolution authorizing the payment of 2012 Montgomery Otsego Caheri Solid Waste Management Mosul shortfall and amending 2013 operating budget. I'll sponsor that. Do we have a second? Brian? Before I open up for discussion, just want to mention that there's a typo for the transfer and from and transfer to. That amount should be $81,288.33 for both the transfer from and the transfer to instead of $580. I'll get more support this, but, great. Okay, I'll open it up for discussion.
Did we get a second?
Yes, we did, Brian,
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
John?
I'd just like to say that 4 years ago, twice that amount of 581,000 would not have been enough. So I think that NOSA has really come a long way in that we've got a shortfall, obviously, and if you look at your GAT reports that you all received, we're currently running about 2,500 tons behind what our GAT is for this year. Last year, you had 10,000 tons. But the 81,000 was also reduced by the recycling efforts that are made within Montgomery County. There is a goal that is established that MOSA utilizes annually, and because we exceeded our recycling goals for 2012, that also reduced, I believe it was from somewhere around 120,000 down to 81,000. So there are some positives to be taken from this, obviously. I just soon not pay the 81,000, but I think that we've come a long way. That's all I have.
I agree. Thank you. Larry?
I just want to say, I know John is trying in that position, but since him and Dennis have been running most of their overseeing it, I think they have really done a great job over there. I think they've reduced the cost a mile over there. They've done away with a lot of waste and got into the recycling business. And I know I go to the transfer station and I quite often the Breakers. It's a very well-run operation there, and it takes care of everybody's waste. Get rid of recyclables, just drive in, drop them off. They've made it very convenient for people. I just want to say thank you to John, and you pass it on to Dennis and see him too, John. I think he did a great job.
Don't see as much as I used to.
You'll be old, right?
And I agree with Larry also.
I do too. Thank you.
Any other discussion items? Wish of the committee? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Anything other? Nothing? Motion to adjourn? Brian? Second. Kirby?